Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss Bangalore University Strategic Management subject, unit number 4, Implementation of Strategy, session number 43, Corporate Culture, Corporate Policies and Use of Power. Dear students, first of all, we need to understand here the meaning of corporate culture. Corporate culture refers to the values and pattern of beliefs and behavior that are accepted and practiced by a company. The phenomenon which often distinguishes good organization from the bad one could be summed up as corporate culture. See, it refers to the value system, beliefs and practice, not only value, belief, but also practice by an organization. For example, the shared things, the shared sayings, the shared actions, the shared feelings. For example, not manufacturing and selling the harmful products, harmful to the consumers, harmful to the society, harmful to the environment. Encouraging the biodegradable or the recyclable products. Discouraging the use of plastic products. Encouraging the alternative for plastic products. All these are some of the examples of a strong belief and value system a particular organization has, and not only having these things but also practicing them in their day-to-day activities. That only is going to make them different from that of others in the same firm or in the same industry. That is going to make them differentiate them, differ them with their competitors as good or bad. So, corporate culture differentiates good organizations from the bad one through their shared things, through their shared sayings, through their shared actions, through their shared feelings. These are the 4 important components of a differentiable culture, corporate culture. Every corporate culture or any culture is a combination of 2 important things, that is belief and the value system that they have. Therefore, the strategists have always studying about the strengths and weaknesses of a culture and how it is going to help in order to be successful player in the market. See, let us analyze culture as a strength, but at the same time it can be a weakness. What are the characteristics of a strong culture? A strong culture always have explicit set of values and principles. Considerable time devoted by the management for communication, among various departments. Values shared widely across the organization, but at the same time, in culture there are so many subcultures, few values and few behavioral norms, rare traditions, lack of sense of commitment, loyalty, identity, politicized environment, hostility to change. All these things are going to affect the corporate culture. What are the factors that influence to a strong culture? A founder or an influential leader who established desired values, sincere and dedicated commitment to operate business of the organization according to these desired values, genuine concern for the well-being of the organization's stakeholders or interested parties, definitely can bring about a strong culture. See, the strategists have 4 approaches to create a strategy supportive to culture. What are those 4 strategies? Number 1, to ignore corporate culture. Number 2, to adopt strategy implementation to suit corporate culture. Number 3, to change the corporate culture to suit strategic requirements, and to change the strategy to fit the corporate culture. So these are the 4 important strategies supportive to culture. To ignore corporate culture, to adopt strategy implementation to suit corporate culture, to change the corporate culture to suit strategic requirement, to change the strategy to fit the corporate culture. Everything is interlinked here. Everything is interlinked here. So, in one place, implementation to suit corporate culture, strategy to implementation of strategy to suit corporate culture, somewhere changing the corporate culture to suit the strategic requirement, somewhere to change the strategy to fit the corporate culture. All these are the approaches wherein one can create a strategy. One can create a strategy. Dear students, culture and corporate culture play a very important role in bringing about, in making the things move in a right direction or smooth functioning of the organization without any trouble, without any problem. What they believe, what the value system they have always matters. Some have a strong belief on maintenance of quality. Some have a strong belief on maintenance of price leadership. It depends upon corporate culture. See, based on these values and value systems and these beliefs, they carry on their activities. So it is rightly said that some companies, it is suitable to some companies. Good wine needs no bush. Like if the product is good, there may not be the requirement of publicity of high level, to spend more on publicity, to spend more on promotion. It is not required. Some companies may follow this strategy. They produce good quality products, but they spend less and less on promotion. At the same time, we see the companies give more importance sometimes to corporate culture, sometimes to strategy formation, sometimes to matching the strategy with the corporate culture, or sometimes ignoring the corporate culture itself. All these are interlinked processes. Now, in this session, we'll also discuss about corporate policies and use of power. See, all corporate culture include political component, so all organizations are political in nature. This is the first thing that we need to understand. All corporate cultures include politics and power. Organizational members bring with them their likes and dislikes, views and opinions, prejudice and inclinations when they enter into organization. We know very well that there are so many workers' organizations in our country, trade unions, associations. So these people, when they enter into an organization, somebody may be the member of Bharat Mazdoor Sangh, somebody may be the member of some trade union, All India Trade Union Congress, somebody may be the member of some labor association. Each and every member has got their own views, their likes, their dislikes, their opinions, their challenges, their requests, their commands. So all these things form the corporate politics and use of power. Sorry, here in the slide instead of politics it has come policies. Please make changes. In between, if I do that, the whole whatever is done till now it will go. So managerial behavior cannot be purely rational, and therefore an understanding is to be acquired of how corporate politics works and how the use of power is to be made effective towards strategic management, towards the management in a most socially responsible way. So corporate politics and understanding the use of power matters here. See, understanding politics and use of power, you can see some of the observations that I have made. Power, how can you define a power? A power is defined as the ability to influence others, and corporate politics is the carrying out of the activities not prescribed by the policies for the purpose of influencing the distribution of advantages within the organization. Managers derive power within an organization from 5 types of sources. What are those 5 types of sources? Reward power. derived powers. I am talking about derived powers. Reward power arises from the ability of managers to reward positive outcomes. In the last slide, I was discussing about the carrot and stick approach. So that this is the derived motivation. You try to understand the meaning of power here. Managers derive power. Reward power. The second one is coercive power. Arises from the ability of the managers to use or penalize negative outcomes. So one is positive outcomes, rewarding. For negative outcomes, penalizing or giving punishments. It could be in the form of promotion, demotion, increasing salary, decreasing salary, all that. Legitimate power arises from the ability of the managers to use position to influence behavior. Using one's own position to influence the behavior of others. This is the power. I am elder to you, I am senior to you, I am skillful than you, I am authority to you, I am management to you. These are called as the legitimate power, use of power to get the work done in an organization. Referent power arises from the ability of managers to create liking among subordinates due to charisma or personality. It is the ability of the manager to create good perception in the minds of his or her subordinates. That is a referent power. Then the fifth one, expert power. It is, the word itself is self-explanatory. Managers' expertise, managers' reasoning, managers' competency, managers' knowledge acknowledged by others. So through these things, a manager can gain power, can make use of power. See, when the use of power happens, the nature of organization itself creates the conditions for power and politics to manifest. The nature itself manifests that. Somewhere power is required, somewhere leadership is required, somewhere politics is required. But the exercise of power and use of politics has two connotations. One is negative, another one is positive. We can understand this. This is one important concept that we need to understand in terms of use of power and this. See, when we see here the corporate politics and use of power, there are certain factors that we need to understand. The corporate politics and power in the Indian context. You see, corporate politics and use of power. In the Indian context, the presence of politics and use of power are perhaps more visible than in other culture. It is more visible. If somebody is not performing the duties requested by someone, immediately the person who is not getting the work done, he take the references of so and so big person and try to get the work done. This may be due to two factors: the nature of Indian society and the higher level of enviousness exhibited by Indian managers. So here, understanding corporate politics in terms of the various benefits, in terms of various disadvantages it has, is important for all the strategies. Now, corporate politics and use of power has got other face also. You cannot call it as a hard face or a soft face, two faces of the same coin, where you need to understand the politics, you need to understand the power and its usage. Let us discuss them in other perspective. Business ethics. As we are aware that in business ethics we try to do what is morally right and we try to avoid what is morally wrong. We try to do what is good, we try to avoid what is bad. Suppose we say that insider trading is bad, we will not do that. That is good ethics. We should not produce the products which are harmful to society. It is good ethics. Should supply the product in time, good ethics. Should not have false advertisement, good ethics. So we know the concept of ethics here. The strategists try to distinguish between moral and immoral use of politics and power as a means to attain organizational goals. See, business ethics is the study of how personal moral norms apply to the activities and goals of a commercial enterprise. Practically, business ethics operates as a system of values and is concerned primarily with the relationship of business goals and techniques to specifically human ends, means viewing the needs and aspirations of individuals, not merely as individual but as part of society. It means the realization of personal dignity of human beings. Dear students, in one of the sessions I have clearly mentioned the ethics, some of the ethical practices which are good for the society or business environment, some of the ethical practices which are not good for the environment. I have already discussed that. See, what is the importance of values and ethics here? They are important to all human beings. They are especially important for strategists, as they are the custodian of immense economic power vested in business organizations by society. See, the international organizations like World Bank and IMF concerned whether the help provided is used for the help, whatever they have provided or aided, it is used for intended purpose or not. And not frittered away by corrupt government officials. Transparency in International brings out annual rating of countries on an index of corruption that serves as a guideline for foreign investments and international donor agencies. So when proper ethics are followed, when proper value systems is followed, then definitely there will be an advantage in one or the other way to the organizations. So the organization can get lot of competitive advantage. For example, if the organization gives more consumer satisfaction, definitely it will be a very good paymaster for more sales. Natural. So therefore, the value system which is followed by most of the companies in our country or the organizations outside the country, they always have the importance of value system and business ethics in their mind. Otherwise, the organization may not get more likes, may not have good perception in the minds of customers or its interested parties. Social responsiveness and strategic management is also important part to be understood in terms of corporate policy. See, the definition and scope of activities to be carried out, the resource allocation to social responsibility comes under social responsiveness. These decisions are based on the views, opinions, personal values and considerations of the business ethics of the top management. In social responsiveness, major decisions regarding social concerns are taken. Various activities, various resources like men, money, material, machine, methods, markets and their judicious allocation, portfolio management towards the completion of social responsibility. These days it has called as corporate social responsibility. See, one way the value system determines what organization want to do. Other way, social responsibility relate to what organization ought to do. See, personal values sometimes or value system sometimes or in maximum times it determines what an organization wants to do, whereas social responsibility says what organization ought to do. That means should do, what it should not do, what are the do's and what are the don'ts. So social responsibility should be made explicit and meaningful. It is not only for merely discussing purposes. So in corporate policies, when we discuss ethics, value system and social responsibility as important issues in corporate politics and use of power, here we have in social responsibility two views. The first view says that business is just to achieve economic efficiency and maximize profits. But the second view says that business organizations are part of society, so it should serve the interest of the society, not just profit. First view says business is meant for profit. Second view says business is not meant for profit, it is meant for the benefit of the society. So here there is a need of understanding the concept of social responsibility or corporate social responsibility in a manner in which we have in Indian context. You see, as I told you in the last session, we have got Gandhian model of social responsibility, that is voluntary commitment. We have got Nehruvian model. In this we have got state driven policies. policies made by the parliament or policies made by the government. Milton Friedman model, that is based on Milton Friedman model based on owner objectives or the objectives of the entrepreneur. Freeman model of social responsibility. Freeman model says work for the stakeholders. Freeman model, stakeholders responsiveness. Look at the change of Indian context. How the corporate social responsibility or social responsibility operates. Social responsiveness. The Gandhian model, Nehruvian model, the Freeman model, then the Milton Friedman model. So here all models are working out. So dear students, social responsiveness is related generally to top management, which decides on major decisions taken in corporate social responsibility. Therefore, alignment of social responsiveness with strategic management is necessary here. Here, role of strategist will be affected by social responsiveness. As we see here, these decisions are based on the views, opinions, personal values and the consideration of the business ethics of the top management. That means to say that social responsiveness is the responsibility of top management. So dear students, in this session we discussed about the meaning of corporate culture, then the approaches to create a strategy which are supportive to culture. Then we discussed about corporate politics and use of power, how politics and power influence the ethics, how ethics influences the power and the politics, how social responsiveness influence ethics as well as the social responsiveness and vice versa. At the end, I have given the multiple choice question. Go through them. If you do not understand, feel free to call me and try to collect more information about the same topic from the available online and offline sources and try to incorporate in the notes the study material given and gain more knowledge about this topic with more examples. So we will meet in the next session. Till then, stay home, stay safe, take care, bye bye.